Down to Watch strives to be a unique podcast dedicated to movies, TV, and music with a soft spot for cult classics. Join your hosts K and D for fun, games, and the occasional pop culture chatter. This is Down to Watch. Hello and welcome to Down to Watch podcast. This is episode 19, and we are here to talk about TV, movies, music, and pop culture. We're continuing our journey to explore Ryan Gosling and his works. Today, we are here to specifically talk about The Slaughter Rule. I'm Kay.
I'm D.
And we are going to get into this very soon. I noticed that I have not asked D. This isn't the first Ryan Gosling film that you've reviewed with us, right?
No, this is not.
Okay, so I forgot to ask you, do you have specific feelings about Ryan Gosling? Like, if there's a movie that comes out and it's like, hey, starring blah 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 and Ryan Gosling, is Ryan more? Will he get you to watch that movie more than
Another actor?
Yeah.
Like, is he in the realm of actors
like Paul Rudd or?
You think I could check out Paul Rudd movies?
I don't know.
Well, I don't have the same relationship.
You don't really have like a specific actor that you're just like.
Well, I do now. And a lot of it.
Tyler LaBeouf or what's his name? Tyler Labane or something.
Tyler Labine.
Yes.
I do like him. He was great. Yeah. What was that? The Reaper. I think it's on Netflix still. Check him out. It's fine young work.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, no, I don't have the same relationship to movies independent of my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
That because really I had no relationship to the movies or celebrities or actors or anything like that.
Right.
And we met Timothy Oliphant at our breakfast after we got married.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you remember.
Yeah,
you
were
there.
Bit.
Yeah.
I kind of recall something.
Yeah,
like
you're
that.
kind of excited. I had no idea who he was. I learned a lot that day. I learned who Timothy Oliphant was.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that people make movies in Pittsburgh. I learned
that was not the first time your realization of that.
No, it wasn't. No,
Okay.
no, because Batman had already happened.
Right.
But that's how it became part of my everyday life. Was that there'll be actors hanging out,
just rolling around.
Well, it's the only 4-star hotel in town. We don't even have a 5. But in any event, 5 would be nice. But in any event, he's great. I like him as an actor. I like him as a person. The interviews I've heard of him, Timothy Oliphant.
Mm-hmm.
He's hilarious. He was in Scream. Was that Scream 2 or is he in the first Scream?
Scream 2.
Okay, and he just shows up in the weirdest places. Apparently I've been watching movies that he was in, but I just had no idea who he was.
Okay.
I was so surprised that you recognized him. But I don't feel the same way about Ryan Gosling. But I know that you do. So therefore, I know when there's a Ryan Gosling movie coming out, it's an opportunity to make my wife happy. And I don't mind because Ryan's a pretty cool guy. We'll get into my feelings about Ryan Gosling as we go into this. But good actor.
Okay, fair enough.
Worthy of following.
All right.
And I hope, if this thing ever works out where you get to date Ryan Gosling, then I get to take out Eva Mendes. That's all I'm
so
saying.
just go on a double date.
Okay.
Okay. So just so you guys know, before we really get into this, there will be spoilers. And so if that sort of thing is important to you, you might want to turn it off now and go watch the film and then come back to us. We'll still be here. And please follow us on Twitter at DTW Podcast and like us on Facebook, Down to Watch Podcast. Now we will get into some nerdy news, specifically the Gosling Gazette. Are you familiar with Blade Runner?
Yeah.
Apparently there's going to be a Blade Runner 2.
If Ryan Gosling's in it, I'm definitely going to go see it.
Ryan Gosling is up for to play the protagonist in this film.
Oh.
Yeah. Ridley Scott says it's definitely happening. The sequel is definitely happening. But Ryan, as of right now, Ryan is just kind of in talks about
So
maybe, sort of, kind of. It's rumored.
it's going to be a Blade Runner prequel or sequel?
I don't know. It doesn't say. I don't think he's playing Harrison Ford's role.
Right, that's what I was getting
I
at.
think
Okay.
it's I just think it's like a continuance.
He's like,
let's see.
why try to remake this? It's perfect in
Yeah.
every way.
I think what the actual quote is: Ryan Gosling has been heavily linked with a lead role, and Harrison Ford will be back as Rick Deckard.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe Ryan will be a robot.
This one is set decades after the end of the first film, and production in earnest will begin in the summer of 2016. So we're still a couple years off, but
Yeah, it's smart to do it 10 years in the future if Harrison Ford's going to be in
yeah,
it.
seriously.
A couple
It's like,
decades later.
You know, I mean, God bless him. He
Yeah,
just keeps
he's
on
awesome.
like doing these action roles, and I guess he's going to be in the new Star Wars film, which
He's a money
I
maker.
don't know if that's supposed to be after. Is that like number 7 in the Star Wars world? Because I guess there's.
I'm not qualified to answer that question. And I wouldn't want to offend anybody who knows the answer. Email it to us.
Yeah, that'd be great. And also, if you have any questions or any extra nerdy news for us you want us to talk about, you can email us at downtowatchpodcast@gmail.com. You can also post something on the Facebook page or tweet us. Now, let's get into the slaughter rule. I keep wanting to call it the slaughterhouse rule.
I know, because of Slaughterhouse 5.
Correct. So the slaughter rule was released in 2002, same year as Murder by Numbers. And here is the synopsis that we have online. I feel like it was on either IMDb or Wikipedia. Anyway, a teenager at a personal crossroads finds himself questioning the things that have given his life meaning in this independent coming-of-age drama. That is the very broad summary. There's another one that gets a little more specific. It says, Ryan Gosling, gets cut from his high school football team just days after his estranged father dies. For him, football is more than a proving ground. It is a promised escape from his lonely rural existence.
Wow, somebody's given us a lot more detail than the film did.
Enter Gideon, David Morse, a loner living on the roughneck fringe who is looking for gamers, kids who scrap hard, to play on his 6-man football squad. Roy joins the Renegades, and he and Gideon enter into tenuous friendship that pushes the limits of male bonding.
Was this
indeed.
person in the writer's room?
I think so.
Because this backstory business, too, he got cut from his football team.
Well, you weren't really paying attention. Like, that was apparent. That was like
that
in
did
like the first 15 minutes.
And that's how he got picked up from the 6-man team?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
Okay, this was written by Alex and Andrew J. Smith, and also directed by Alex and Andrew J. Smith, twin brothers, who I don't know if they were first-time filmmakers or what. But all right, before we get into that, our personal history with the movie. I never saw it before and had never wanted to see it. You?
Didn't even know it existed.
Okay, so there we are.
Let me read one more description of it.
Okay.
Because they won some. I don't think they've done much else that was this successful.
These Andrew and Alex?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know for a fact. There might be some film that I don't. But just scanning their
IMDb?
IMDb. Thank you. I noticed they won a few awards because I know they were nominated for Sundance. I didn't know if they won.
Was this for this film?
Yes.
Okay.
And they won the Stockholm Film Festival. I'm going to try to pronounce this. Fipresci Prize?
Sure.
FIPRESCI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Stockholm Film Festival 2002. They say for its depiction of a young man breaking his armor of masculine cowboy mentality,
Whoa.
told in a confident classical style.
Interesting. That's an interesting way. I didn't see it like that. I didn't see that character as having...
Well, that's why I said the overall movie kind of had a Gus Van Sant feel to it. Part of it was the music, but part of it was also this coming-of-age tale about a man and masculinity.
Well, remember, the conversations we had were pre-recorded. We're pre-recording, so our listeners don't know what you were talking about. You just said, remember about Gus Van Sant.
Yeah. Well, I think the audience will remember.
uh,
They saw
like
it.
We're all kind of into like Gus Van Sant.
Well,
Yeah,
there's certain musical, well, we're describing the movie, and so
mm,
I'm saying that in that genre, Gus Van Sant rules that genre and so therefore
okay.
it gets thrown in. So if you like
Yeah.
Gus Van Sant movies, you'd like this movie. Is
No,
what I'm trying to
I
say.
understand the what is it? Something about masculinity.
Well, it's coming of age
Right.
and defining masculinity.
Okay. Yeah, but I just don't agree with the description that he was like a hard-nosed cowboy.
Yeah. Well, that's just
before-
because people in Stockholm think that's what everything is in America, a bunch of cowboys. And they probably thought that, and if that's the case, it's a little racist, but also borrowing from the Western tradition. Cowboy and Indians are like, there's Native Americans in
Oh
here.
my God.
He must
Right.
be a cowboy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're in Montana.
Yeah.
So I guess ipso de facto, if you're in Montana, you're a cowboy. If you're not a Native American.
Okay.
According to the people who run the Stockholm Film Festival
Okay.
in 2002.
Did you have anything else there about anything else you wanted to?
They
point
won
out?
the Independent Spirit Awards in 2003.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce the names of these awards anymore.
They won a lot of stuff.
They won two things.
Well, good for them.
They were nominated for a couple things too. And I kind of looked into the where are they now because I wanted to see if like they went to Penn State because this is also kind of the Jerry Sandusky story, but told way before that story broke.
Right. And if anybody has seen this, or just stay with us and you'll know what we're talking about. Okay, so character/actor breakdown. So we have our shining star, Ryan Gosling, plays Roy Chutney. Roy is a high school football player. I want to say he's like 17. It's probably like his senior year, 17, maybe 18. And the beginning, when we meet him, he is like loving life. You know, he's on his football team playing and all happy-go-lucky. But then he gets news that his estranged father died, and it's suggested that it's by suicide, that he stepped in front of a train and killed himself. But
Right.
he doesn't want to believe that. And also, maybe soon thereafter, he gets cut from his football team, and he doesn't really have like much else to kind of hang on to. His
Well, he's left
relationship,
vulnerable, you know.
yeah. His mom, he doesn't seem to have a really great relationship with his mom. He didn't seem to have a relationship at all with his father, so he didn't really
Right.
have a father figure at all. And it seemed like his only real connection was his football team and his friend
I think it was
Tracy Two Dogs.
Yeah, Tracy Two Dogs, played by
Eddie Spears.
yeah, Eddie Spears did a great job.
Yeah, and so so that's Roy Chutney, and then David Morse plays Gideon Ferguson, who is like this town, like he's kind of off. He's the man who he sells newspapers. He walks around selling newspapers to everyone, and I'm assuming this is a very small town.
The character
Yeah,
is like like a couple of newspapers from homeless.
yeah,
You know, like he
absolutely.
and a couple of marbles short of a full jar. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
A few cards short of a full deck, maybe.
He like walks. He's off.
Yeah.
He's a very off person.
Yeah.
He's off-putting. He's kind of off in mentality.
Yeah, he reminded me of the creepy old man in Family Guy. The
He
one that
wasn't
loves
quite-
Chris. Right?
He wasn't quite
Yeah,
that
he was.
bad.
No, it wasn't overdone. It was
Right.
like real life, that
It was
character.
like-
The
it was
character.
like fearful, like it's really
Right.
too real. It's not. There's nothing comical about it whatsoever.
No.
It's,
It was strange.
yeah, he spoke in like metaphors, and he quoted a lot of music, or he would say something to say a phrase, and then he'd be like blah 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 1942 whoever like and it's like what I missed.
He's like, I had this thought, therefore it's important and true, and you have to feel this thought that I'm having right now.
Yeah, he's very intense. He seemed dirty most of the time. Everything was
Right. His best
ill-fitting.
friend was the homeless guy.
Yeah, and he seemed to have things more together than him. So Dave,
Well, it was yeah, and that was actually played into the dynamic of Roy and Gideon.
yeah, we're gonna,
Gideon was played by David Morse and Ryan Gosling, just for those that are trying to follow along at home.
Mm,
And a lot of times, like, Roy was playing the adult figure
right.
in his relationship with this coach mentor.
Yeah, so Gideon is he's got nothing else really going on, and he is the coach for this 6-man football.
Like amateur, just like some kind of tradition in Montana,
It's
I
some
guess.
ragtag football
It's
team.
like we're just gonna get 6 guys together, and like there's no organization or anything. This is just like some random adult men in Montana gather 6 boys and
Yeah, so it's like these are the kids who either unable to or unwanting to play for their actual schools, play football for their schools, because it's not like this town seems to be lacking like high school actual football teams.
right.
So it's just like these are the ones who didn't make it, who didn't make the cut, and so they just kind of gather together and play in their own league-ish type
Yeah, right,
thing.
right.
I don't understand it. It was weird. So
Like pickup games.
yeah, but they seem to be, I don't know, it was kind of organized because there was
Yeah, they didn't get into the whole organization of it.
Well,
it was
they
just like a
did-
given.
well,
It was
when-
6-man football.
when Gideon said that he had a team or something, he went to some guy who I'm assuming it was the mastermind of it all.
We have to research this now.
No, what 6-man football?
Yeah, you keep
Well,
talking.
Well, so Gideon once he got Ryan on his team, he went to a guy who was in charge and was like, "Okay, I got my team, blah blah blah," and the guy wanted him to pay an amount of money for insurance for every game that he every game that he played because of the accident that happened some years ago where one of the guys on his team died.
Right.
So yeah, so Gideon's got some mystery behind him when we meet him. What
Yes.
have you found the definition of 6-man football? Or
Nope.
No. Okay, so moving on to Clea Duvall plays Skyla Cisco.
Ooh, wait. I'm there now.
Okay.
I'm sorry. First of all, 6manfootball.com is a thing.
Oh jeez.
Like, this is a real thing. Like, this is going on. We're just sports illiterate.
Yeah.
The Bible of 6-man football in Texas. 6manfootball.com. And then
Okay.
there's more.
Clea Duvall plays Skyla Cisco, and she's like, I don't know, she's the love interest for Roy Chutney. I think she's a little bit older than him. She works at a bar, and she's a bartender, and they start their little relationship, and she doesn't really, for me personally, she doesn't really bring too much to the table of the story.
No,
told.
it's about the character. It's not about the plot. This is a coming of age story about a teenage boy.
So we just needed a girl.
You need a girl to help with the ultimate story here is really more about nature than it is about, and there's a person, because there's a lot of like landscape scenes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of opportunity for trouble in this young man's life. He's having sex with this girl. Nobody's watching after him. He's got cut from his team.
Drinking moonshine.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, they set it up so that what you're wondering is it's really about the character of Roy, because the opening scene is about this deer that gets caught in the barbed wire, which it just happens. Poor deer doesn't see the barbed wire there running at night, and they just get caught up in it. And the deer was dying. I was like, why is there a deer ass up, face down, bleeding in the middle, all in the snow? And Ryan's character, Roy, comes upon it, and he was like, oh, this is horrible. And he goes to check it out, and he realizes the deer is still alive. What you're supposed to do if you're a man is kill that deer and put it out of its misery.
Would you do that?
I
you
would.
Be able to?
I would. He punked out.
Would you seriously
Oh.
be able to do that?
Yes.
Wow.
Put it out of its misery. That's what
But
you're
it's
supposed
still-
to do.
Yeah, I understand what you're supposed to do. But-
And they didn't tell you whether or not he did it or not in the beginning of the movie. They cut away.
Right.
They cut away.
Did
So
they even,
you're
I don't recall
you're
if
left.
at the beginning of the movie if they even revealed that the deer was still alive.
They did.
Okay.
They did. And because they went through the whole thing where he, recognized it, and it's kind of that caught him aghast. So they set up the proposition.
Okay.
So they cut away, and then next thing you know, his dad dies, and he's cut from the football team, right?
Mhm.
And then the story picks up from there. Is this guy's lost now? He doesn't have a father figure, and it's interesting. Stuff goes into it later. I'm sure we'll get to that when
Yeah.
we start to talk more about Tracy Two Dogs.
Okay. So David Cale plays Studebaker. Gideon's homeless friend who lives in a Studebaker. I forget what his real name was, but they called him Studebaker.
Right.
And he was just maybe one step away from being extra off, more
No,
off
no, he was.
than Gideon.
He has drugs though, and the drugs keep him on the even keel. But you
No,
get to see behind the scenes.
I mean, he's like not too far gone from Gideon. Like Gideon,
Oh,
the only thing
yeah.
separating the two is the fact that Gideon is paying rent somewhere. I think
Arguably.
that's it. Yeah,
or he has a
questionably.
room somewhere.
Yeah, he's got a door. I don't know, but those were he had diabetes. Those weren't
Is that what it
drugs.
was?
Yeah,
Okay,
it
that was just
insulin.
still awkward. He's
Yeah.
like, "Here's my ass, shoot me up." What? No. And then he's like, "Okay." And Roy gets in the car. And that's what happens when you ain't got parents around. Your dumbass kids are gonna jump in the car with Studebaker and shoot a hypodermic
someone's
needle in
house
some
car.
strange butt.
Someone's house car.
and his coach comes upon him at this moment.
That could have been a really terrible, horrible situation because he was trapped essentially.
Right.
He was caught in the middle.
He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? That's my hooker." This
Roy,
is my alley.
Yeah, Roy gets caught in so many uncomfortable situations in this
Yes.
film and possibly dangerous situations. Also, we get to Eddie Spears, who plays Tracy Two Dogs, who is Roy's best friend, and he comes along with him on this ride of the 6-man football. Which have you found?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
ready to share. I'm so sorry. This is jazz podcast. We just make stuff up as we go along. 6-man football was developed in 1934 by Chester, Nebraska high school coach Stephen Epler.
Chester, Nebraska. Okay, I thought. His
Yeah,
name was Chester,
no, the
Nebraska.
town Chester, Nebraska. He's a high school coach. His name
That's a great name.
His name is Stephen Epler.
His name is Stephen Epler.
As an alternative means for small high schools to field a football team during the Great Depression, 1934. Smart. It's like,
Okay.
we're just keeping intercollegiate together. So apparently, its tradition has lived on and lives heartily in Texas.
I guess so, 'cause I've never heard of this ever.
This is interesting. No, it's
Do
not.
tell. Oh.
No, it's not. It's just history. They're talking about the first game was played.
Oh, okay.
And
So we have
other
like a
stuff.
clearer understanding as to why this exists.
It's a thing.
Yeah, that is an actual real thing. So what were you going to say about Tracy Two Dogs?
Okay, so he also is part of like a mirror, if you will, or a cathartic expression of Roy's masculinity. Is this guy? It's his
Okay.
best friend.
Who is full blood Native American?
Yeah, and like also doesn't have his father in his life. He's
Right.
got a stepdad.
Who's an ass
Yeah, and talks to his son horribly.
and beats him
Right.
and makes him steal things,
Yeah.
steal Christmas trees
Right.
to resell
On
them.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Oy. Yeah, just a total loser. But Eddie's character, Tracy Two Dogs, does rises to the occasion as a good human being.
Mhm.
Definitely stands up for himself, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And he says, his dad says things to him like, "Get your ass in gear,
Right.
get in the truck." And Roy, because he has to give his coach a ride to games and rides everywhere, they're hanging out after the game. Coach has to wait while the boys are off, being boys after
Right.
the game. And Roy's character, Roy's like, "Get your ass in gear, get in the truck."
Mm.
And so his coaches didn't like that much. And it's like if you don't know young people talking to their elders that way ain't right.
Right. No.
So I was shocked that he, was
Got
so
away with it?
brazen that he said it, and then I was like, oh, that's what Tracy Two Dogs' stepdad said to him.
Well,
And so it's like how he's mimicking adult behavior around him. He's looking for some kind of father figure, and this
Well, he
Gideon
was
guy takes advantage of it.
But he was also I saw that more of him. At this point he has lost respect for Gideon.
Oh yeah,
So it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
even so much that he's. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
he's moved on to another father figure, which was Tracy Two Dogs' stepdad.
I don't think so.
Well, you see the character trying out different things around him.
Trying out different alpha.
Yeah.
Types.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, and I mean that's pretty much it for our cast and characters. But there's a couple honorable mentions. Kelly Lynch plays his mom, who She pretty much didn't even have to be there didn't have to be a mom in this. She didn't have to have any speaking roles. There was nothing personally. I mean, all it does is really show you just how jacked up his personal life is, like how much he has no one.
Right.
The lack of parental units.
You don't want to talk about the actress, Clea Duvall, who played the love interest?
What about her?
Well, she was just, I mean, she's been in other things. She was in Argo. She was in Girl Interrupted.
Yeah, I know. She shows up a lot. And I've never really saw it for that actress.
Okay.
She's always kind of the same to me, everything I see her in. And another honorable mention, a very young Amy Adams.
Yeah, right.
Plays random cheerleader.
Nice.
Number 1.
Nice. Albert doesn't like Amy Adams. He's growling under the table. Don't mention her name.
So that's it for those guys.
Is it because of Sherlock Holmes?
Was she in Sherlock Holmes?
I thought she was.
I think you're getting her confused with the other girl, Rachel McAdams.
There's an Adams in there somewhere.
Ryan Gosling's ex-girlfriend.
Huh. All right. 6 degrees.
So like we said before, like we were saying before, the story, high school football is the main focus, or is the playing field, I guess, for all this, for all the stories that's going to take place, and
it's like the second football movie I've seen with Ryan Gosling in it.
Yeah, I hope he stops because I can't take it anymore. I don't want to watch any more football.
I don't want to see him do any more team rallying because he does a lot of that.
I say renegade, you say pride.
Renegade.
Pride.
Renegade.
Pride.
Yeah, that goes on a lot in this movie.
A lot. It's like a little too much. But I did find out that what slaughter rule, if you guys are wondering, slaughter rule actually means it's the rule. Hey, easy. This rule provides for an athletic competition's premature conclusion when one team is ahead of the other by a certain number of points prior to the game's end.
Like 45 points in this movie.
So as to avoid the losing team being further humiliated by the winning team.
The slaughter rule. You've been slaughtered.
Yeah. So what do you think, like, that would mean with Ryan and Gideon's characters?
Well, at the end, Ryan's character totally flips Roy, totally flips and outs his coach Gideon, and so
okay,
that's part of
wait a minute. Maybe we're jumping ahead too far because we haven't really.
Well, I was going to tell you what okay, maybe we are because that's that question at the end.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe we haven't really established. So, what exactly is so weird about Gideon and what's going on, and probably what the underlying message is.
Well, it's not just weird about him. I didn't see this movie the same way you saw this movie.
Okay.
You think it's about football. I think it's about...
I don't think it's about football. Just football. I'm saying football is the playground that everything is taking place.
It's a lot of the stuff that takes place happens outside of that realm, though. Football really is kind of... It's the... Before the football is introduced into the movie, really... Or not... I shouldn't say that because football was what was part of this kid's life. He wanted football. Football was denied him. His dad dies.
That's what got him into Gideon.
His dad dies. His mom's not really there for him. We have boy wandering the streets. Runs into Gideon in a diner. And he's all in his little weird mode, being the guy from Family Guy and having weird conversation about what it means to be a man with this young boy and just talking about what it means to be a man, a little too much. And decides he's going to start a football team there in the diner. Well,
no, because you missed this part. When Ryan, the same day that Roy gets cut from the football team, after everybody leaves the locker room, Gideon shows up in the locker room and looks at the list of who got cut from the team.
So he's a total predator.
Right.
Okay.
So he writes down
who he's going to go pick up. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Vulnerable kid gets picked up by a predator.
Right.
Is what this movie was to me.
Yeah.
But the other part of that is Gideon's justification, so to speak, is he can't be openly gay. He wants to be openly gay, but he can't be openly gay. And
So
it
instead
comes up. He has a conversation about this with Roy, the character,
Right.
Gideon and Roy.
which is probably the most important scene in this film.
Yeah,
In Gideon's
yeah. Roy
apartment.
asks him if he's ever been with a woman,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Well, whores don't count."
Right. Yeah. He's like he said he's never been with a woman. He's been carnal, but he's never been with a woman he hasn't paid for straight up, and he's never been kissed. And he says it a little too like longingly.
Right,
to,
right, right.
To this young boy in his
Right, right, and
apartment.
that's when he totally crosses the line. It goes from being weird to like, okay, this is a molestation
He's
going
like
on.
perpetually crossing this line. He's
Yeah.
a perpetual line jumper. And just so we're clear, guys. Like before this, we even get to this point. Like the town, there has been rumors around the town, and everybody has been like whispering in Roy's ear, saying, you know, he's a prevert. Is actually what something that was said, and that to look, so because there was something that happened prior to this, like years ago, when he had done this 6-man thing before.
Right, he loves his 6-man team. It's just super creepy, and that's really kind of what it's about. This, and maybe that was part of the institution at one point in time. And Alex and Andrew had a bad experience, and they're like, the world needs to know. I don't understand why this story was. Well, I understand why it was told. It was a great story, but I just don't understand what would motivate somebody to create this if it didn't happen to somebody they know or something.
Truth.
Yeah.
No, it's understandable.
It was a very personal movie.
Yeah, and I don't know if I just missed a lot because of the way David Morse was playing Gideon and like the speech patterns that he chose, or even just the actual dialogue that was chosen for him. But a lot of things went past me. I feel like there wasn't.
It's like hobo speak.
Yeah, there wasn't enough. There were some things that needed not even clarification. It was just like I felt like the script was muddled. Like I didn't think that the script was quite as clear as it could have been.
It was such an inside view of an subculture.
Yeah.
Of Montana 6-man football.
Yeah, it was really specific.
That's what
I
I'm
guess,
saying.
Like, had it
yeah.
just been football, I would have been bad enough, like trying to decipher
right.
what
It
was
didn't
happening.
seem like a story that was pulled out of the writer's room. It seemed
Right.
like a story that was pulled out of somebody's diary.
Yeah, exactly. So this was like definitely like not just football, but like a subculture of football, 6-man, like specifically Montanan 6-man football, and like run by a hobo.
There's going to be just enough blurred lines here where we're not going to get sued for libel and slander. You know what I mean? Like, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it was told very well, and a lot of the imagery and the dynamic of the relationship is about this kid's character, and I just want to keep reminding the audience of that this is a story about Roy's character. And there are no conclusions in the beginning other than he is a character. He's got some issues. He's out there drinking. He freaks out and has tantrums and all kinds of stuff. He just has a hard time processing his emotions.
Right. I mean, I guess, yeah, you saw it as very well told. I did not see it as such. I was just too confused by so many things, certain things that were happening, but not like. I felt like a lot of what I was doing was coming to my own conclusions for things like, well, I guess this is what they meant. Well, I guess this is where we're going. Well, I guess this is how this is gonna be. I just didn't feel like I was being told one way or another. This is what direction we're going in, and I get what the overall story is, but when I know it's not about football, but when I say that football is the playground, I guess what I mean is like football is the vehicle that this story is being told by. That's telling the story. This is the arena. Like this is all taking. Like I know this is about Roy and the relationship that is happening between him and Gideon, but it's taking place with the background of football.
For me, what tipped me off was the not very subtle, I thought, symbolism of the deer stuck in the fence. I'm like, why did they start with this? Because it didn't really seem to connect to football.
Uh-huh.
So to me, it was just a big glaring thing. Like there's going to be some metaphor here. There's going to be some symbolism.
Okay.
And then it executed it as told between like Bambi, who loses his parents, like that whole kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's the lost in the world. It's either becomes a friend or a predator. In this case, it was a predator. And then this kid can't process his emotions well, and then they tie it up. I'm just going to go ahead and jump to the end because I think I need to tell you what I'm seeing here, and I just can't wait for bits and pieces of the whole plot to come out. But in the end, after all this stuff, Roy loses his shit because he can't control his emotions, and he outs Gideon as a gay man who's weird with boys and all that other stuff in front of everybody.
Right.
And Gideon's like, "You broke my trust.
Right.
I trusted you." Because before he started this whole conversation about whether he'd been with a woman, he's like, "Well, can I give you my trust? I'm not going to get your trust unless I give you my trust.
Right.
So I'm going to give you my trust."
Says, you don't trust me.
Yeah, right. And so,
And you're never
which is
going
also
to.
kind of a weird, strange conversation. If you ever find yourself in one of those conversations, you're with a predator. Watch out,
Right.
In any event, Roy decides not to give his coach a ride home that night after he freaks out on him.
Right.
The other thing, I'm sorry, before that, the coach, this guy actually, he likes to dominate boys. He plays this really tough coach aspect, and he likes to just dominate himself over these kids. And so the way he dominates himself over Roy in this scene is he grabs his junk.
Oh, that's right.
Right?
That's like a big...
and is like, you love this sugar something or whatever, right?
Yeah.
In front of the whole group after Ryan outs him.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying
was it even after? I think it was.
Yeah, it was after.
Okay.
And so that's why Ryan jumps in his car and drives away as fast as he can, not processing his emotions. Gets stopped by the train. This is, how his dad dies. This is the train now comes back so his character can develop. He stops, he gets out of the car, he processes his emotions. And then they cut back to the whole deer scene.
Okay.
And he doesn't kill the deer.
Right.
And then he goes, and it's freezing cold in Montana. Coach has to walk home apparently like 50 miles or something. And Ryan knows he's going to die trying to walk home. He knows this guy's 2 newspapers away from being homeless. He goes back and he gets the coach and puts him in the truck and takes him to safety. And that's where the film ends. So that's why in my mind, this is really just about the character of Roy and all these also awful situations where they give you lots of information about stranger danger. And if you were in the Penn State program, this would probably be a good movie for you to watch and talk in a group session with other players and other people that might have experienced this. This happens a lot in professional sports with boys.
Right.
When I was in high school, our soccer coach, who didn't let me on the team, like we moved and I tried out. I was junior varsity back in my old school, my new school. I'm trying out. Scored goals, blocked goals. I was giving it the full D power, and I was the first one cut. And the kids on the team couldn't believe it. They're like, "Who's the one cut?" I was like, "I don't get cut." And they're like, "No way! How could you get cut?" Turns out later, he'd been molesting the soccer players, some of them, and probably didn't want me in this little inner circle because I was a new element. He'd probably been grooming these kids for years.
Right.
And so that was a lot of this. It showed a lot of the dynamics of predator coaches, how they groom.
Right.
It'd just be a word to the wise, and that's why the story had to be told.
Right.
And the way they did it, I thought there was some nice bookends. It wasn't, I think, too much with the whole deer on either end of the story. So that's why I say it was well told.
Do you feel like the deer was just an example of how he couldn't put something out of his misery, or do you think it was like a symbol of the relationship between his relationship, like he should have killed it, put it out of its misery?
No, I think that's the character is different than me. The character shows basically like let me answer the first question. The first question is the deer just got caught in the barbed wire.
Right.
And in many ways, he is the deer.
Okay.
Ryan is the Gosling's character.
That's
Roy is the
what
deer.
I'm trying to get at.
And he's just the deer the whole movie.
Okay.
And then the train comes, and he has to stop and think and process his emotions, and then he realizes that Gideon is a deer,
Hmm. Okay.
the deer. And
Okay.
he goes back and he saves Gideon. And I was a little harsh on him because, what Roy did when he came across the deer was very sweet. I have no objection to what Roy did.
Yeah.
Roy did not kill the deer. Instead, he laid down, and this is where the movie fades out, right? This is where they show you this is who this kid really is. He lays down and he stares the deer in the eyes, and they look each other in the eyes longingly until the deer dies.
Yeah. He kind of stays with him. So he's just a little sweetie at heart. A little
Not a
soft,
cowboy.
A little soft, but that's okay. He just needed a little more guidance in his life.
But not everybody has guidance. Not even Tracy Two Dogs.
No. Oh, and poor Tracy.
Yeah, his neck gets broke.
Right. After he did kill the deer, and metaphorically speaking, and he comes back. Like, he had quit the team. He was like, you know what, I'm done with this. This is
Right.
And then he came back to. He went and got his life, basically. Like, he went back to his tribe. He left his abusive father. And,
Right.
And
folded into the tribe.
yeah, came back with war paint on and everything.
Yeah. So now that I've praised this movie, let me tell you a couple things that annoyed me. The character Roy has to ask everybody in the movie if they're a coward. It's a question he poses to everyone. He poses it to his best friend when he tells him he's going to quit the football team.
Yeah.
He poses it to his coach when they have to throw the game because his friend's neck was broke.
Right.
And I don't know.
Is that one of those things though that people, if they're insecure, that's showing his own insecurity, that he fears that he is a coward, or he's trying
Because he
not
didn't
to
kill
be,
the deer.
or just whatever. He's just not trying to be a coward, and so that's what he's like. He's projecting.
I think
onto other
that's
people.
a very astute observation, Kay.
Thanks.
You were brilliant.
I went to art school.
So I could deal with crazy people my whole life. You get good at this.
So, are there any other moments in this film that you would like to address, or?
I think they should have ended the movie probably about 7 minutes sooner.
7?
Yeah, there's a part in movies, and writers, please stop doing this, where the movie's over, the story's told, good job. You finished the story when he didn't kill the deer.
Wrap it up.
Right. That and when he's staring the deer in the eyes as the deer dies, roll the credits. And then end it on a big Sky Montana, and boom, you're done. No, you want to have more narration, just in case your audience isn't sick of your over-proselytizing anyway. Show don't tell people. It's lazy. And then the narration comes on at the end.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if this were a Coen brothers, they're the only ones that do that right. Give it up. Hang it up. Only the Coen brothers are allowed to do that. That's my rule.
So I do have a couple of my problems with the movie. My questions, I guess, was, one, how is he drinking in the bar? Is it just, that's just how lax it is there in Montana?
I think it's a period piece. All it was told in 2002. It was probably written in the 80s or so, and it wasn't always that 21 was the drinking age across the entire land.
Okay.
For example, in Kansas, you could drink when you were 18 until like the late 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. 2, there were some continuity problems with his black eye and broken nose, because there's a scene, I think it's just in Gideon's apartment, he has the broken nose and the black eye, and then the next scene, he's having sex with Skyla, and he's completely healed up. No Band-Aid on his nose, no black eye, nothing. And then the next scene, he's fixing the fence in his house, Band-Aid, busted nose, and black eye. So I found that problematic.
Maybe she cleaned him. Maybe she licked his wounds.
She licked his bruise away.
with Vaseline.
Yeah, okay. So I have a hard time trusting movies after this.
They don't pay attention to their effects.
Exactly.
It's like,
No continuity. Like,
pay your makeup department, okay? Because it's really annoying.
pay
when
your script
you guys make-
supervisor.
Right, is that whose job that is? Whose job was that?
Your editor. There's like several people that it came down to that it went past before it got to this point. The scene where his mom is crying naked on her bed.
I missed that.
This is like towards the end. This is when things get really like. They kind of got a little David Lynch because there was just like a couple of quick scenes that I just didn't understand. Like he comes home and I forget exactly what it is, but it's very close to the end. And he opens his mom's door and she's wailing naked on her bed. And they never interact. Her back is to him when he opens the door, and she's just, ah! And he's like, Mom, and that's it. I don't know why she was crying. And that scene, that was your 7 minutes that could have been cut out of the film.
Yeah, there's another 7. Well, they're making films like Films Free. I guess it was maybe digital.
I doubt it. Yeah, the point where
I guess they just wanted to see that actress naked.
Kelly Lynch,
Like seriously, that was probably extra money. Could have saved.
Kelly Lynch isn't she John Travolta's wife?
Could have put that towards craft services.
Could have put that towards the makeup department. Yeah, whatever.
Right. Makeup department would be better. I just have snacks on the mind. I made a delicious salad. Tomatoes and peppers.
Didn't you eat it?
I ate mine.
Okay. So that's it. I mean, okay. Your star rating of this film, 1 through 5.
Oh. Can I have more numbers?
Are you serious?
Yeah. Can I have 1 through 10?
5 is the best, right?
No, I want a new parameters, not more numbers.
No.
5?
Because it gets difficult.
3.5.
Okay. I gave it a 2.5.
I hate giving fractions. Okay.
I still I don't know. I still feel like it could have been told better. It maybe just a little too dense.
My bias is that I like those kinds of indie looks into life. I like the fly on the wall movies that I wouldn't otherwise know about Six-Man Football or Montana. Never
Right.
been to either of those places or things or whatever.
I mean, I feel like Ryan's performance was pretty good.
Can we get to your Ryan Gosling meter?
We're not there yet.
Okay.
Wait
for it.
Wait for it. Are you down to watch it again?
No.
Me either. I need to see this movie again. In fact, I would very much like it if someone would give me my $3 back. But if you want to pay the $3 to rent it, it is on Amazon Instant right now for $2.99.
Or if you're a therapist,
yeah,
and you have boys with these kinds of things, they need to talk about this. Is a very great film.
I think at some point, this is. I don't want to take away from the importance of the film and the message that the film is giving.
And it does it very tastefully. It's not over the top. It's
the
like
lesson that it's
it's
teaching.
perfect.
Me personally, I never need to see it again.
Right.
I got it. It's a one and done for me. Yeah. So
it's like this is. I give it like the Peabody Book Award for Bridge to Terabithia. Do you know this book?
I know of it.
So it's a great book if elementary school kids have to deal with loss. Somebody dies.
Okay.
Because this book deals with this little girl who dies.
Mhm.
Remember that there was a movie with Macaulay Culkin and somebody, My Girl?
Yeah.
So along those lines.
Oh, okay.
Similar, those kinds of stories.
Okay.
They're important stories. They need to be told and done well because people deal with that stuff. And a
Right.
great way to get through it is through story.
Right.
And opens up a venue to talk. And this is one of those movies for people who've been molested, especially for boys
Right.
and coaches in that situation.
Right. Because.
Sandusky.
Well, yeah, and plus it's just also it's
Certainly
always,
not the only one. Even know
No.
somebody. If you know 4 guys, then one of them you can guarantee has had this kind of a situation brought
right.
upon them
And because when you're getting into all this being a man business, quote unquote,
at that age.
that's what makes it harder for boys to come forward and say and
Right.
tell somebody that
Oh yeah,
this is
because your
happening.
masculinity is constantly in question when you're a teenager.
Right. like just normal things, just like by the color shirt you're wearing. Like,
Right,
it's just
right.
like just
Socks matching, don't match,
Yeah,
whatever. How you
exactly.
look at your fingernails.
what chips you chose that day. Like it just doesn't matter. Like
Right.
somebody's always looking to fuck with you for masculinity or lack thereof. And so yeah, so on a serious tip, if you or you know somebody
Call
who-
the hotline.
we don't have a hotline, but I'm sure there is one. Just Google the information, who you can talk to, who you can find. Talk to somebody, tell somebody, because it's not right.
It's not okay.
It's if you're a boy or a girl, male or female, you should really find somebody you trust and tell them, and make sure that this doesn't continue to happen.
Tell them you're having boundary issues with somebody. It'd be a good way to open the conversation.
And on that, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with the Gosling factor. Okay, we are back now, and I did call this portion the Gosling factor, and in other episodes I've called it Hey Girl. I'm not sure what I want to call it, so it might fluctuate back and forth. I can do that. This is my
Hey girl,
Hey Girl.
what's your Gosling factor?
Well, question 1. There are certain things that Ryan Gosling is famous for or known for to bringing into his roles that he plays. 1, does he sing or dance in this film? Yes, several times. There is the first time we see him, he's drunkenly singing in the moonlight. The second time, he's dancing with Clea Duvall. It's a very fancy, like, little partner dance.
Square dancing.
It's really square dancing? Did you
Yes.
see it? Okay, so that's square dancing, and it was fanciful. I was impressed. And there's an impressive yodeling moment.
There is an impressive yodeling moment
And there's also...
that goes with the square dancing.
Yeah, but it was 2 separate scenes, totally. And
All in the same bar. Was it 2 separate scenes?
Yeah, 2 separate
Okay.
scenes. The square dancing, where there was a bunch of people there, and the yodeling, he was just hanging out with her while she was cleaning up at the bar. And then when he's in Gideon's apartment, he's like singing. There's also another thing about this movie. Music seemed to play a really big role in part of the storytelling, and not even just the score or the soundtrack, but just music that was mentioned in the film. And now, I'm not a country western fan, so I'm sure I missed a lot. One more thing that I missed in this film, but there was a lot of references just shouting out like movie or song titles and years and artists, and I just kind of wonder if anybody out there knows the significance in any of those songs.
Somebody's album collection, part of the writing team.
Whatever they could get rights to.
I don't know. But there was obviously, like I said, it was a real indie look at some very particular things.
Yeah.
Like six-man football and North country western music, I guess.
Okay.
Something we'll never know.
Truth. All right. Is Ryan's character off-putting or eccentric?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, he can't process his emotions.
So does that make him off-putting or
Yeah.
eccentric?
Off-putting.
Okay. Did he disappear into his character?
And he was eccentric, too, to a certain extent.
Yeah. Did he disappear into his character? I
Yes,
think so.
definitely.
I think he did a really good job at doing that. This is almost kind of a character I haven't seen from him before. I may be wrong, but I can't think of anything.
I can't
right
either.
now.
Yeah, this was really well acted
Yeah.
by Ryan Gosling.
The character smug level, 1 through 5. What's this
5. He did great. He was totally smug. Are you
Really?
kidding me? The way he talked to his elders and all that other fun stuff. That was part of his character.
I'd give it a 4 smugness level.
Okay.
I think 5 is like murder by numbers. That's okay.
Yeah, okay. I see your point.
Yeah.
But it was a different character. Still smug.
Is the character attractive?
Why do you ask me?
I ask
It's
everybody.
the same guy.
I ask you. I ask you every.
No.
Ask everyone.
No.
Okay. Eh. Eh. Now you were asking if we had gotten to this portion yet. What were you trying to get to? Earlier you asked.
I was just trying to move things along.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Well, so we're going to wrap that up. We're going to wrap it up. That's it.
Come on, no,
That's
what's
the end
the
of the That's it. That was the last one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Would you want to take a picture now?
No.
You sure?
Yep.
How about a mirror? Because you look adorable.
Absolutely not. I don't want to
I am memorizing this moment.
You go ahead and do that.
It's a great T-shirt with your Gosling. You're just so geeked out right now. It's so you.
And now it's time we read from the book of Gosling, 100 Reasons to Love Ryan Gosling. Number 21. If you guys have been keeping up, we've been going from 1 on up, and I'm not going to keep rereading. We're just going to take 5 from each one. If you would like to find out all 100 reasons yourself, keep listening, or just go check out 100 Reasons to Love Ryan Gosling book. It's on Amazon. Joanna Bennick. I don't think I'm saying her last name properly. Benecké. Number 21. He has good taste in movies most of the time. Thankfully, Ryan had the sense to drop out of the ick fest, The Lovely Bones, before filming started.
You love that movie. You love saying it.
That's just fortuitous. He was replaced by Mark Wahlberg, who jumped at the chance to don a dodgy beige polo neck and play the super fun role of a dead girl's grieving dad. If only
That's sarcasm.
Yes. If only RG had displayed the same nose when it came to the damp squib that is Gangster Squad. Thank you. That movie is poo. We wouldn't have had to snore through it if Marky Mark was the star. We wouldn't have just stayed. We would have just stayed home and rewatched the first half of Drive. Number 22. He makes politics hot on screen. In political drama The Ides of March, he somehow manages to make George Clooney look like an airbrushed alligator compared to the beauty of his royal rhinus.
Really? I don't think I've seen that.
I think we may have. I feel like I slept through a lot of it. But apparently I have committed to this journey and I will get there again.
You will. You have committed to this journey. Nerd up.
Number 23. He makes politics hot off screen by marching his gorgeous body alongside the Occupy Wall Street protesters. It's official. The 99% love Ryan, and so do the other 1%. Number 24. He makes politics hot in Screen Meets Life. Ryan produced and narrated Regeneration, a documentary about the political apathy of the young, the Occupy Wall Street movement, and the bankers and corporations who have caused so much socioeconomic woe. Right on. Right on. This girl is funny.
Who's the author of this book?
Joanna Bennick. Number 25. He chose his own accent. Okay. Already exhibiting that famous I don't follow the crowd because I think deeply about stuff attitude as a child, Lickle Wayne decided to carve out a new accent for himself. He felt the Canadian lilt wasn't tough enough, so modeled his speech on Marlon Brando. So now you know why he sounds so damn sexy weird. It's Godfather via a boot. Which now that that clears up a lot, because I've always wondered why
Canadian jokes.
I've always wondered where his accent comes from. Like it's a weird thing. You would think that he's from New York or something, but he's all Canadian and stuff. And all right, so he made up his own accent. Okay, that's cool. I can dig it. I can get behind that. And that wraps up our musings on the slaughter rule.
I have an apologia to make.
Okay.
I don't know if this is going to get cut on the cutting floor or not, but
maybe the digital cutting room floor.
I was like, I was trying to move things along. What I meant to say is I wanted to talk about his singing and dancing, and I was looking forward to that part.
Okay.
That's why I asked about it. I just say things wrong sometimes because I'm a dumb man.
Oh, okay. Then we give like the dumb man puppy dog eyes. Oh, look at me. Look at me. I'm so cute.
Hey, I want you to remember this. Next time you see a spider, then you need
backup and assistance. And
Although you did karate, I'll share with the world.
okay.
My wife killed a spider.
That spider
in the
was
hallway.
ginormous.
It was so
It
large.
was the size of a silver dollar.
Right? Yes, and you handled it. You also killed a couple boxes in the process.
Well,
it was a firefight.
Picture it, Sicily, 2015. I'm coming into my home with arms full of things, and there's a ginormous spider that's looking at me, and I'm looking at him. And I think, what do I do at this moment? If I open the door, he might follow me inside the house. So I'm like, I think I might be able to make it. So I moved, and he moved. And I was like, nope, not going to happen. And that's when I stomped him to death and, like, killed all of the empty boxes that were hanging outside waiting to go to
How
trash.
did you
at the
first
beach.
approach the spider? Was it with a boot?
With a boot? Or a boot?
I'm talking about a boot.
But it was more like a reactionary thing.
Did you kick it, or did you hit it with a box? Did you hit
No,
it
it
with a
was-
groundry bag?
Well, what I really...
Did you put down the grocery bags?
I didn't put down
or
the
did
grocery
everything
bags.
just go blank, and then you woke up?
I blacked out, and I woke up, and there was, like, spider body parts all over the place.
The pixies were playing. Buildings were blowing up.
No, what actually happened was that I thought about for a split second, because I had flip-flops on, and I didn't want there to be any chance that it would touch my bare feet.
Right?
So I thought maybe I can cover it up with the mat, with the welcome mat, and just step on it that way.
Okay.
And I moved that mat, and then it was like, bing! And it, like, took off, and that's when I started, like, kicking boxes and, like, stomping
Gotcha.
any and everything in the way. And I
Right.
was like, F it, this is happening.
Right, and I was like, these are sounds I've never heard before. I'm inside the house. And I come out.
Demon!
Right, I come out, and she's like, I don't even remember what you said because my eyes went down, and then I saw the spider, and that, for me, that's when everything went blank. And I woke up like 2 days later.
Rocking in a corner.
Oh, my God. Like, I felt cold run down my spine at the horror of the architecture of this insect. Like, it wasn't a fuzzy, cute spider. It was...
There are no fuzzy, cute
This one
spiders.
was straight from hell.
Yes, it was most definitely. It was a minion
It
of
might
hell.
have been the first.
It was a minion of hell.
I think
was
you might have
most
killed the
definitely-
first vampire that
Good.
ever existed.
Good. What
It was
about
a
Uber
scary
vamps?
spider
Oh my
like
God.
that. Like, would not be surprised if it turned into a vampire.
And by the time you came out to dispose the body, there was like a chalk outline, and then there was like all of these other
I
other
still
spider
don't like going out
reporters.
there. I see some of the sizes of the spider webs on the fire escape. Are you kidding me?
That's outrageous.
Huge. And the cats know how to avoid them. We have feral cats flying above us like pigeons.
So yeah.
City
so
living.
is that? Are we living a slaughter rule? No. Is
No,
that-
no, because the cats haven't outnumbered us. There's still 4 of us. There's only 3 of them.
Okay. Okay.
We're expanding. Just so you know, we might get a turtle.
What? Okay. So
We can
that
talk
wraps-
about it.
That wraps up. That concludes our discussion on the slaughter rule. And once again, if there's anybody out there in any sort of uncomfortable situation with somebody, nobody has the right to touch you or make you feel uncomfortable. And tell somebody, and make sure you try to just tell somebody, and so you can get it to stop. What did you guys see the slaughter rule? Let us know what you thought,
And
because we are not the end all.
right, there's probably all
authority
kinds
on
of
this.
things we don't even pick up. It was well done. It was a good story. It was told well. I agree with Stockholm Film Festival that gave them that prize.
Well,
I
this
can't
is fine.
pronounce.
We can agree to disagree, which is great. You know, you need some opposing.
Yeah, absolutely. I
opposing
just wanted to
opinions.
say, took some courage to put it out there. Congratulations, Alex and Andrew Smith.
Definitely.
In the event they listen to this.
I hope you had some healing. I hope this was a nice healing process for you if that's what you needed. Them telling the story, like if something like this, if they experienced something like that, and maybe telling the story was an act of healing for them.
Absolutely. I'm wondering if we're gonna get sued for slander or libel for just
if.
putting it on them like
I
that.
said if.
Like, I'm just saying, man, good job for putting the story out there. You're all like, good job for surviving this. I mean, that's a leap that might have legal consequences. I'll have to run it by legal.
So if you saw the movie and you have your own thoughts, please let us know. You can tweet us at DTW Podcast. You can leave a message on our Facebook page at Down to Watch Podcast.
I say you leave all of that in, and let's see if we get sued. I mean, that's what legal came back with. That's what legal came back with.
It means our podcast is getting to the right people, if that's the case.
Like, we'll have their autograph. Or maybe we'll ask for their autograph.
Yeah, right on this
I would,
document.
I would love a copy of the script. You know how you can buy scripts?
Yeah.
I would.
You would like a copy of the script? Okay, we'll see if we can make that happen.
All right. I'm trying to put some money to mitigate our damages. We'll spend money on the franchise.
Alex and Andrew, if you have some words for us, you can just email us at downtowatchpodcast
yeah,
at gmail.com.
Totally don't have a legal department. I just made that up.
And, if you guys would be so kind as to rate, review, subscribe, like, follow, give us love, show us love. We like love because we love you. I'm Kay.
I'm D.
And we are going to peace out.
And I love me some K.
This has been a Rugged Angel production.